Hi, thanks for joining me today. I am back again with another very simple and very easy and inexpensive to mass produce Christmas card. This card features two of the products from the 2010 Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. This is the first Christmas stamp set, which is one of the, unfortunately, rather few religious-oriented Christmas stamps in the catalog. And also the Festival of Prints designer paper stack. This is like a little notepad of designer paper. Let me just flip through this for you a little bit. You get 4 of each sheet. And I believe I want to say they're 4 by 6, maybe a little bit larger. But they are just the perfect size for card making or for matting a photo on a scrapbook page. And you have a lot of the red and green, I believe it's cherry cobbler and lucky limeade, but then you also have the early espresso and the beautiful blue colors mixed in as well. So a lot of different pattern combinations that you can come up with using the designer paper in this stack. So the first thing that I'm going to do, because this is the easiest part of this card, although the whole card is very easy, so that's not really saying much, but first thing I'm going to do is put together my card, my card base, excuse me. The card base itself is crumb cake, and it measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'll just use my bone folder to give that a good, crisp, clean fold. And this is a paper from the Festival of Prints designer paper stack. Okay, I'm going to use my grid mat to help me align this in the center of my card. I used very vanilla cardstock to cut a label collection framelit shape, and that's what we're going to be doing our stamping on. Now I'm going to bring my finished card back in because you can see I have these strips of paper here. I have a very skinny strip of early espresso and then a strip of the actually the back side of this blue pattern on top of it here. My trick that I found when I was putting this card together was it was easier for me to make sure all of my images were square and lined up properly if I glued those first. So you can see I stuck them down starting just a little ways, maybe very slightly less than 1 inch away from this point here is where I lined up those papers. So again, I'm going to use my grid mat. Put some snail in the back, and I'm going to align both of the points, these 2 points here, along the same line on my grid mat. And I'm going to go 1 inch down, maybe a little bit higher, and use my grid mat to make sure that that's straight across. I didn't do a very good job, so let's try that again. Just like that. And I'll do the same thing, put the snail on the back of my early espresso. And then I can just align that right up against my designer paper. And now that is going to help me square off all of the rest of my stamping with this properly lined up pattern paper here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my paper snips and follow around the shape of the label to just cut off the extra. Now, I will be the first to admit that I am terrible at lining things up properly, so I am going to use my Stampin' Up! Jig here. And this sentiment is from the first Christmas stamp set. That's where all our stamp images on this card are from. And it says, "May the wonder of the first Christmas be with you always." I'm just going to line that up where I want it and place my Stamp-A-Majig tool. And I am stamping this in Island Indigo ink. And now I've got my Stamp-A-Majig with this manger silhouette image on my imaging sheet. I'm just gonna line that up right where I want that stamp. Replace my tool. And I'm stamping this in Early Espresso. And then the last little bit of stamping I'm going to do is I'm going to take this star image from the same set, and I've got my crumb cake ink open here. And I'm actually going to stamp this. Normally you would stamp it the long way here, but as you can see, it's not really going to fit on my label shape here. So I'm going to actually stamp it off of the top of the label a little bit, and I'm going to stamp it horizontally instead of vertically. And so now we have the focal image portion of our card that is all finished. So we've got our card base with our designer paper and our focal image, and this, you can see how easy and quickly this card comes together. All I'm gonna do is just put a few dimensionals. I'm gonna put one in each corner and one or two in the center. Put those on the back there and peel off the backing. And now I'm just going to put this centered horizontally and a little bit as far as the vertical alignment, just very slightly above center. Use that pattern paper strip to help you line it up. And there, we're all finished with our card. So again, I really appreciate you joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I hope this gives you some ideas for perhaps your own Christmas cards, or just for some quick and simple and easy to mass produce cards. So I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching, and happy stampin'. Bye-bye.